Sophia, a black woman in her 40s, moved silently through the shiny hallways of the headquarters of a large corporation, like a shadow among the glass walls and pristine offices. Her modest and simple janitor's uniform made her almost invisible to the people working there, a discreet presence that no one truly noticed. Every day, she swept, cleaned, and polished the floors beneath the feet of the impeccably dressed executives, men and women engrossed in discussions about numbers, strategies, acquisitions. They were too absorbed in their world to notice Sophia, too preoccupied with deadlines and important meetings to care about the woman who made the floors they walked on shine. But Sophia saw everything. Quietly, she observed. Every indifferent glance, every mocking smile, every chuckle when they thought they were safe from prying eyes. They might have believed their status and power made them untouchable, but Sophia remembered everything. She listened carefully to the conversations above her head, the rumors, the manipulation strategies, the power games unfolding in the hallways, at the coffee machine, in private offices. She knew secrets that even personal assistants were unaware of, the cracks in the masks of perfection that everyone wore so proudly. Sophia said nothing, revealed nothing. Her hands rubbed the surfaces, but her mind was elsewhere. She knew things about the company that even the directors didn't. Details no one suspected she could capture, but which she used to reconstruct the image of this ruthless world, brick by brick, in her mind. She knew who was betraying whom, who silently despised their colleagues, who schemed in the shadows for a promotion. And yet, no one noticed her presence. To the eyes of the company leaders, she was just Sophia, a janitor doing her job quietly, without disturbing anyone. But Sophia, with her wisdom and silence, understood better than they did the relentless mechanics of power that governed these halls. No one could guess that Sophia was not simply a janitor. Beneath her modest appearance, in her discreet uniform and precise movements, hid a secret no one here could have imagined. She was, in fact, the owner of this vast building. A few months ago, in a secret and bold transaction, Sophia had bought the entire real estate company that owned this prestigious building. However, this choice was far from ordinary. It wasn't a regular acquisition driven by the simple desire to own more property. No, Sophia had sensed, through the echoes of the hallways and the muffled sounds of meetings, that something was wrong in this company. She had observed this world from the shadows for years. The arrogant executives, the condescending glances, the injustices that even the sheen of elegance couldn't hide. An environment where those who cleaned, who made these places spotless, were ignored, invisible, treated with latent disdain. Sophia had seen the dehumanization, the small abuses of power, the everyday injustices that played out. So, when she had the opportunity to buy the building, she didn't hesitate. But instead of revealing herself as the new owner, she made a radical, almost unthinkable decision. She chose to blend in with the most invisible employees, the ones no one looked at, the ones who were there but went unseen. Sophia swapped her business clothes for a janitor's uniform, entering the building every day as if she were just another employee. Not once did she reveal the truth, preferring to observe, listen, and understand from within. She wanted to see with her own eyes how this world truly worked. How the most modest were treated, those who kept everything in order and shining but never received recognition. She wanted to feel what it was like to be ignored, to be reduced to a role society deemed insignificant. The executives passed by her without a glance, without even a word of thanks. They avoided her, sometimes as if her mere presence could disturb the impeccable order of their universe. Ironically, they walked on the floors she polished every morning, unaware that they were walking on the ground belonging to the true mistress of the place. They discussed mergers, acquisitions, profits, not knowing that the greatest power play in this building was not happening in their plush offices, but in the humble, silent gestures of Sophia. She observed everything, recorded everything, every word, every interaction. She saw who the real leaders were, those who respected their subordinates, and who among them believed themselves superior to all. Sophia knew far more about this company than any board member. Her observations were not just to understand, but to prepare for something greater. She nurtured a secret project, a plan that would shake the very foundations of this company and its invisible hierarchies. And when the time came, she would reveal everything. She would not just change the floors, but completely transform this company, reshaping it in the image of justice and humility she had never stopped cultivating. Her revelation would not be a simple announcement, but a thunderclap that would change the way people viewed the invisible ones, those who, like her, had always been there, silent and powerful in the shadows. One day, as she was cleaning near the meeting room, Sophia overheard voices rising, distinct and intense. The executives were fervently debating a drastic cost-cutting strategy. Words flew, full of certainty and arrogance. They talked about firing employees, cutting entire departments, lives and families reduced to mere numbers on an Excel sheet. They even mentioned, condescendingly, the idea of reducing the janitorial staff, thinking that their absence would make little difference. They didn't realize, in their bubble of privilege, that one of the people they were planning to fire, the one they looked down on so much, was actually the one who could, with a single word, change their fate. Sophia, methodical in her movements, continued to clean slowly, but her mind worked rapidly, bubbling with ideas and emotions. She had always known that such a decision would be a heavy blow to the most vulnerable employees, those who, like her, had dedicated their lives to making this place one where success was possible. Each swipe of the mop was accompanied by sharp and critical thoughts about the leaders who, in their quest for savings, ignored the human impact of their decisions. The suited men, huddled in their meeting room, had no idea of the impact of their words. They debated numbers, but couldn't see the faces behind those numbers, the children's smiles to feed, the dreams to fulfill. Sophia watched them, and a flame of determination began to burn within her. She knew that this company didn't just need a new financial strategy, but a complete overhaul of its culture. A culture where every voice mattered, where every individual, no matter their role, had value. She recalled discussions she had overheard among employees, rumors of injustices, complaints about salaries, testimonials of ignored dedication. It was time to act, to gather those stories, to give a voice to those who were too often silenced. She then realized that her position as a silent observer could become her greatest strength. She had access to information and perspectives the leaders had never considered. The idea of addressing the employees to unite them began to form in her mind. What would happen if she managed to create a coalition? A collective force that could counter the plans of those who had lost their way in their pursuit of profit. She knew that the employees in the service departments, often underestimated, were actually the heart of the company. They knew its inner workings, its flaws, and its hidden potential. Sophia focused on the noise from the meeting, the shouts of joy and anguish that reached her, feeding her conviction that what she was doing, what she was seeing, was much more than just cleaning. It was a mission. She dreamed of a future where the company wouldn't just maximize profits, but truly care for those who made everything function. That day, as she mopped the floor, Sophia began to imagine how, from this very room, she could rewrite the history of this company, and all the lives it touched. The next day, during an extraordinary meeting called by the management, Sophia entered the large conference room. But this time, she wasn't wearing her usual janitor's uniform. She wore an elegant, understated yet imposing suit that highlighted her stature and authority. Her footsteps echoed in the silence of the room, a stark contrast to the discretion she had shown up until then. The shock in the room was immediate. Eyes turned toward her, incredulous, stunned. Some of the executives who had passed her hundreds of times without ever giving her a glance were now frozen in their chairs, their faces marked by utter disbelief. How had they been so blind? How had they ignored the one who, silently, had observed them day after day? A murmur spread through the room, a palpable wave of shock. Those who had humiliated her, ignored her, and even considered firing her just hours earlier were now forced to face a reality they could not comprehend. Their hands trembled slightly as they adjusted their folders. Their gazes avoided meeting Sophia's. She, on the other hand, remained calm, her face impassive, but her eyes sparkled with a newfound determination. She knew this was her moment. Sophia slowly moved to the center of the room, where all eyes were fixed. Each step she took was heavy with meaning, every movement deliberate. When she finally stood before them, silence fell completely. The faces that had once been arrogant now held an odd form of vulnerability. The atmosphere, initially tense, had transformed into nervous anticipation. Everyone waited, hanging on her every word. In a composed yet firm voice, Sophia spoke. "Ladies and gentlemen, I am Sophia, and I am the owner of this building, and by extension, one of the major shareholders of this company." Her words hit like a storm. Some exchanged panicked glances, others seemed paralyzed by the news. "For months, I've worked among you, incognito, as a mere cleaning employee. I've listened to your conversations, seen your actions, and observed how you treat the people around you." She paused, letting her words sink in. "What I've seen has shown me just how much this company needs change. A radical change." The executives' breath caught. They now understood that she was exposing not just their ignorance, but their practices, their way of managing the company like a cold, dehumanized empire. From today, reforms will be implemented. Changes that will affect not only how this company is run, but especially how its employees are treated, at all levels. No one here will be invisible anymore. Every employee, from the top executives to the cleaning staff, will have a voice, a respected role, and equal rights. The silence that followed her words was deafening. The executives, once arrogant and confident in their position of power, suddenly understood that Sophia held not just the keys to the building, but also the keys to their future. Their faces turned red with shame, realizing they had built their sense of superiority on illusions. The woman they had ignored, the one they had almost despised, now stood before them as their new boss, not out of vengeance, but to restore a justice that had long been lacking in their walls. Sophia continued by detailing the new measures. A complete review of employment contracts to ensure fairer and more humane conditions, a strengthening of employee rights, and a revaluation of jobs often considered invisible or subordinate. She also announced the creation of an employee representative committee, tasked with ensuring that discriminatory practices and abuse of power would no longer be tolerated. The men in suits, once so confident, listened in silence, absorbing every word, knowing that their world had just changed irreversibly. This building is a symbol of what this company can become. A place of collaboration, mutual respect, where every person, regardless of their position, is recognized for their contribution. "I will no longer tolerate injustice, condescension, or exploitation. You will have the opportunity to adapt to this new era, or..." She left her sentence hanging, but the message was clear. Those who refused to follow this new direction could very well find themselves among the dismissed, a bitter irony after the discussions she had overheard the day before. Sophia ended her speech on a hopeful note. "We all have the opportunity to restore this company to its true greatness, by building a culture based on integrity, justice, and respect. It is up to you to decide whether you want to be part of it." This was the lesson Sophia wanted to impart. One can judge someone by their appearance or position, but true power lies in the mind, integrity, and the ability to transform humiliation into strength. She had spent too many years being seen as just a cleaning lady, underestimated and ignored. Every day, she had witnessed how her colleagues, dressed in their expensive suits, made decisions that affected lives, without ever considering the impact of their words. But Sophia knew that appearance was just a facade, and that true wealth lay in inner strength, resilience, and the ability to rise after being knocked down. She had learned this lesson the hard way, over the years. Each time she had been looked down upon, each time someone had laughed at her uniform, she had gritted her teeth and remained calm. She had decided not to let those humiliations define her. Instead, she had committed herself to observing, understanding the inner workings of the company, and learning from those around her. Each mockery, each disdainful look, only strengthened her determination to prove her worth. She knew that her moment would come, and she wanted it to be powerful. Sophia wanted everyone in that room to realize that true strength is not measured by wealth or power, but by the ability to rise after a fall. She wanted them to understand that real leaders don't just give orders, but inspire, uplift others, and bring about positive change. For Sophia, being a leader meant having the empathy to listen to the voices of the weakest, to stand up for those who couldn't defend themselves. She knew it was time to overturn stereotypes and redefine what a true leader was. She wasn't there to seek revenge, but to teach. Sophia firmly believed that everyone, regardless of their position, had the potential to transform the company's culture into a space where respect and dignity prevailed. She wanted her colleagues to understand that strength lies in the diversity of experiences and perspectives, and that every voice, even that of the cleaning lady, can make a meaningful contribution to collective success. By taking control of the situation, she showed them that it was possible to reverse the roles, to create an environment where compassion and understanding took precedence over pride and arrogance. Sophia hoped that by sharing her story, revealing her true identity, she would open her colleagues' eyes to their own behavior and encourage them to reflect on how they interacted with others, especially those they considered inferior. She also wished to encourage a broader change within the company, a reform that went beyond simple budget adjustments. She wanted every employee, regardless of their role, to be valued for their skills, creativity, and humanity. By making power accessible to all, she believed the company could thrive sustainably, cultivating an inclusive environment where everyone felt valued and proud to contribute. The transformation she had in mind would not be easy, but Sophia was ready to rise to the challenge. With her vision, integrity, and determination, she was determined to prove that true power didn't reside in a title or an office, but in the ability of each individual to stand up and make their voice heard, no matter where they came from. She was resolved to show her colleagues that change was possible, and that they all had a role to play in this transformation.